The rapping against the bakery's front window made you jump, only to whip around and snicker to yourself at who was waiting for you. The black, white, and yellow hero uniform was unmistakable against the afternoon light, reflecting against the visor on his helmet. The man was suspended by his quirk, hanging upside down and giving you a cheeky wave. You quickly finished packing the cake box before ambling towards the door. He didn't bother flipping himself over when you stopped in front of him, remaining suspended by his tape. "Good afternoon, gorgeous." You could practically hear the smile on his face, causing you to laugh. "You're looking as attractive as ever." "Afternoon to you, handsome," he replied, not minding the warmth of your cheeks at his compliment. "I could say the same to you." Granted, you never actually saw his face, even on TV or online articles, and you never bothered asking about it. It wasn't too long ago when the tape hero began to show up around the area, patrolling the streets with his fellow pros and making a name for himself. It didn't take long for Cellophane to grow in popularity, his kind and considerate nature being the talk of the street, once he started visiting and assisting shops in making deliveries after his patrols. "Someone's gotta look out for the little guys, right?" That was his reply to you when he first dropped by your little bakery, much to your surprise and skewed delight, taking the liberty to deliver 2 boxes of thumbprint cookies for you. You thought he was going to lend you his assistance that one time and continue going about his hero ways, but boy were you wrong. He began to stop by every other day. The dork even began carrying a delivery bag with him so deliveries wouldn't be a hassle. "Got something for me to deliver?" With effortless grace, the hero flipped himself to his feet, his 6'3" stature towering over you. The nearby daycare is having a birthday party and ordered a cellophane-themed cake. You lifted the cover of the box to show him the black and white patterns of his costume, highlighted by golden yellow zigzags drawn across the surface of the cake. You saw his shoulders shake as he let out a pleased laugh. "Well, ain't that sweet?" he beamed, gingerly taking the box from you. "I was expecting someone like Deku or Dynamite." You gave him a light punch on the arm. "Don't sell yourself short, hero. You're making a name helping small folk like me." With one hand now balancing the box, he gave you a curt bow. You would be lying to yourself if you said you weren't beginning to develop the slightest hint of feelings for the hero. But hey, judging by his open-hearted nature and charisma, who wasn't? He was in the middle of slipping the box into his bag when you spoke up again. "Try not to squish the cake this time, alright, Tape Man?" You heard him gasp under his helmet, pointing a finger at you. "Hey, that was one time. Don't hold it against me, sugar," he chided, making you laugh. You remembered what happened. Business and orders were lacking that day when the tape hero came waltzing into the bakery, his body radiating shame and mild embarrassment. Turned out, a band of thieves was running amok a few blocks away, and Cellophane was called into action in the middle of delivering a dozen cupcakes. Things took a turn, and the hero returned to the bakery with nothing but an awkward laugh, and a flattened box covered in cupcake remains. You couldn't complain though, especially since, on that same day, the hero offered to help you remake the cupcakes. You couldn't feel any luckier, witnessing the amusing sight of the tape hero, an apron laid over his uniform, working alongside you in the back kitchen. At that moment, the bakery had become your little haven to share with him, painted by colorful laughter and clouds of flour thrown at each other, your pink-tinted cheeks smeared with blue and yellow icing. You wanted more moments like that. Get going, handsome, and wish the little Tyke a happy birthday for me, will you? You patted his shoulder, although you didn't want him to go. A part of you wanted to spend more time with the hero, to get to know the man under the costume. He slung the bag over his shoulder, lifting an arm and shooting a string of tape at one of the buildings. He momentarily turned back, and you watched as he reached out to brush his fingers through a lock of your hair, ghosting over your cheek. "More flour in your hair than usual," he mumbled thoughtfully. "Don't overwork yourself, alright? I'd hate for something to happen to you." He pulled back and gave you a small salute. See you around, gorgeous. Your cheeks were warm, either from the afternoon sun or the phantom touch of the hero, as you watched him disappear around the corner. Your hand moved to touch the area where his fingers were. He was handsome, all right. You didn't need to know what he looked like to know that the heart he wore on his sleeve was the most beautiful thing you had ever seen. It had been a solid 2 weeks since you last saw the tape-esque hero. Granted, it had been a busy 2 weeks for the bakery as you were swarmed with differing orders, ranging from picnic pastries to wedding cakes. Your minds rarely had the chance to wonder where your favorite hero was, but every afternoon break, a feeling of worry bubbled in your chest. What if a villain attack left him badly injured? Or worse? You shook your head. If anything, he was probably busy with patrols and paperwork. He's a pro hero under Edshot's agency. He can handle himself. You ambled towards the back kitchen, a patron's order in hand. Skimming the paper, you hummed and thought. The patron wanted to wish someone a happy promotion day, which was something you don't see very often on a cake. You shrugged nonetheless. Who are you to judge? You lost track of time as you worked on the cake, so in over your head that you didn't hear a voice calling you. You were in the middle of decorating the cake when the door to the kitchen burst open, causing you to jerk forward. Compass! What the hell? You turned to glare at the snapback-wearing doof that was the bakery's own delivery boy. I could have ruined the cake because of you. Well, excuse me. I was calling you from out front, he exclaimed before walking over and handing you a card. Tape Man left this out for you. Curious, you dusted your hands and took the card. It was a simple white with borders lined with red and gold, the agency's name written on one side with a number highlighted below it. You flipped it over, immediately biting back a grin at the familiar pet name. Been missing you, sugar. Don't be afraid to keep in touch. Below the message was another phone number next to a sweet drawing of Cellophane's helmet. You swept your hand through your hair before tucking the card away, heart bubbling at the fact that you got Cellophane's personal number. Trying not to squeal as you bounced in the balls of your feet, you felt Compass nudge you with a snort. You're incredibly whipped for him, aren't you? You threw the piping bag at him. Only when you were in the warmth of your apartment did you register the number into your phone, hesitating like a teenager as the hero's name stared tauntingly at you. Were you really going to make a call, after 2 weeks of not seeing him? He said not to be afraid to keep in touch, you thought to yourself as a means to ease your nerves. You eventually found the courage to hit the call button, bringing the phone to your ear with a shaky breath. The ringing lasted seconds longer than your trembling heart wanted, part of you wanting to back out and call him another time. But the silence that followed only silenced you, your breath getting lodged in your throat the moment you heard shuffling from the other line. Hello? A voice finally answered, deep and raspy. Your heart weighed heavy. Hey, Cellophane? It's me. You responded shakily, and you immediately scolded yourself. Oh, it's me. No shit, genius. Clarification wasn't needed when the voice let out a chuckle. Well, if it isn't the sweetest thing in Musutafu. You could feel the heat rising to your cheeks, lips widening in a giddy smile. Glad you were finally able to reach out, gorgeous. I've been waiting. Isn't it a bit odd for a citizen who's practically a stranger to have the personal number of a pro hero? And isn't it a bit odd for the citizen to call the number on a random card, uncertain if it was legit? His tone was teasing, and it only solidified the fact that it was the man you were looking forward to. There was no mistaking the manner Cellophane spoke. Maybe I would have been more certain if you had stopped by the bakery and given me the card yourself. I missed my hero the last 2 weeks, you know. Your prior nervousness ceased to exist, now replaced with your usual playful attitude.
Aw, don't you worry, sugar. I'll be back soon. Just had a lot of hero work to catch up on.
I sure hope you're taking care of yourself.
I'm fine.
His airy tone couldn't help but make you smile, despite your concern for the hero.
I wouldn't be promoted for nothing, you know?
It took a few moments before his words finally processed, and the excitement that bloomed on your face was near shameful. Shut up! You had shot up from your bed, not caring if you woke up your roommate. How could you not be excited? Cellophane was finally getting the recognition he deserves. Surely this was a means for celebration. Oh, we have to do something! When you're free, stop by the bakery and I'll make something for you.
Thanks. But I'd hate to be a bother.
Oh, hush. Think of it as both a congratulations and a thanks for all the help you do. The line went silent for a moment, and you could practically hear his contemplation. You really wanted him to stop by so you would be able to thank him properly.
Alright, I can't say no to you. How does next Friday sound?
You barely prevented the squeal from leaving your mouth. Sounds like a date. Days flew by in a lovely, sugar-filled haze. There was a slight skip to your step as you crossed the road and towards the bakery. Yet another pleasant weekday, and one day closer to being in the presence of the tape hero. The cool morning air, the sky cluttered with clouds, the murmurs of city streets. You were filled with a serendipitous bliss that revolved around the man in the suit. Nothing could ruin this moment. Please, you're the one with the hero gossip. What did you hear this time, Hikari? A small group of girls was walking in front of you, too lost in conversation to realize that they were blocking your path. Well, you know Cellophane, the tape hero Mayu was obsessing over? Said the taller brunette as the group huddled closer. The mention of the tape hero couldn't help but pique your interest as well. She was pretty upset the other day when she found out Cellophane was seeing someone. Your heart stuttered, a weight suddenly dropping in your stomach. What? No way! The shorter girl exclaimed. How could she know? She was in the shop when it happened. Apparently, Cellophane was flirting with them or something. You bit your lip. You could only guess the ladies around the district noticed you and Cellophane and spread the news like wildfire. Then again, a part of you didn't really mind. After she got a picture with him, she went out of her way to ask if they were dating. That Mayu. The one with glasses shook her head in disbelief. And what happened? Cellophane got really nervous and jittery, rushed out the door right after. At least, that's what she said. Wait, who? What shop was it? The shorter girl pressed, latching on to her taller friend. It's apparently the owner of the flower shop just across the street. A sharp pain pierced your chest, realization hitting you like a blow to the head. Oh yeah, I saw him there the other day, agreed the glasses girl. He seems to go there frequently. The topic was left at that, the girls moving on to other schoolyard gossip as they turned towards a crosswalk, leaving you to walk silently towards the bakery. Quiet embarrassment raked against your skin. How conceited of you to think they were talking about you and the hero. He made his deliveries in other areas too, and it was ignorant to think he only shared those interactions with you. Your body began to boil, your quirk activating the more you thought about the hero. All the times he stopped by, the incessant flirting and pet names, the constant laughs from under the helmet, the good morning and good night messages the past few days. Maybe you took it the wrong way somehow, mistaking his being nice for an actual indication that he might feel the same. You shook your head. Mere gossip shared amongst students shouldn't affect you, especially to this extent. After all, maybe it was just that. Childish gossip. A sight witnessed behind rose-tinted glasses and fangirlish behavior. Then again, could it be the same case with you? It was like rubbing salt in a wound. Except the wound was Cellophane's petty rumors, and the salt being the sight before you. After a long day of serving customers, all you wanted was to head home and lay in your bed, to forget about today's unprecedented encounters with middle school kids and gross feelings. But no, fate wasn't done playing. Fate swept the rug from under your feet and proceeded to kick you while you're down. Across the street, under the light of the golden hour, was none other than Cellophane. He was accompanied by someone, a face all too familiar around the district. You could see the obvious adoration in the florist's face as Cellophane handed them an abnormally large bouquet of roses. You didn't think you even saw a bouquet that large. It didn't feel right to pry on their interaction, but it was like your feet were bolted to the ground, refusing to leave until your feelings were crushed beyond recognition. They didn't notice you, thankfully, the two exchanging words before Cellophane lifted himself into the air and disappeared over the buildings. The florist waved goodbye after him, disappearing back inside the shop and leaving you with a sinking feeling weighing down your shoulders. You sighed heavily. Fate was a bitch. The bakery was quiet the moment you sent the last customer off with a wave, the silence an invitation for your thoughts to come swimming back to the surface. The clock read 6:27, half an hour of peace and solitude before you had to close up for the day. But today didn't bring about peace and solitude like you were expecting. Instead, it brought a weird blend of excitement and dread, stirring uncomfortably in your gut as you watched the hand of the clock run its course. A minute passed. 2 minutes. 3. Hello, sugar. You managed to hold back a surprised squeak as your eyes locked with a figure standing by the door. In walked the man that was the cause of your anticipation, practically oblivious to the rumors involving him that had been eating away at your conscience since yesterday. Hello, hero. You greeted him, the same way you would any other visit. Just in time, as always. Of course. I didn't want to keep my favorite baker waiting too long. You resisted the urge to roll your eyes, turning back and grabbing a spare apron you had lying about. Come on, lover boy. I said I would bake you something for your promotion, and I intend to keep that promise. You threw the apron at him, beckoning him to the back kitchen. It was just the two of you in the bakery now, your coworkers checking out earlier and leaving you to close up. After deciding what to bake and prepping your ingredients, you and the hero quickly got to work. You told him what to do, and Cellophane followed along without much trouble, whisking butter, sugar, salt, and orange zest until the mixture was fluffy. At the same time, he told you about his occupation, the heroes he met and worked with, his past experiences with villains, and more you as a citizen couldn't even comprehend. Suddenly, the atmosphere was similar to the time you two baked cupcakes, and your heart was at ease for the time being. Listening to him ramble as he helped mix the dough made your worries seem like mere thoughts spoken into space. Irrelevant. And you wouldn't believe the scandals Chargebolt had gotten himself into, Cellophane went on. I mean, 6 relationship scandals in a week? Jesus. Then all of a sudden, those mere thoughts rocketed back to reality, breaking the barrier of your subconscious as feelings from yesterday made itself aware. Well, word on the street says you're seeing someone. You blurted out as Cellophane kneaded the dough. You could see his head whip towards you from the corner of your eye. He let out a surprised laugh, not at all expecting this turn of conversation.
Is that so? Where exactly did you hear this from?
Oh, here and there. You dismissed, casually leaning against the counter. People talk.
Quite a lot regarding rumors, if you ask me.
You couldn't help but let out an amused huff. You helped transfer the dough into a large bowl, covering it with a towel and allowing it to sit. So, what are they like? You asked, despite not wanting to hear the answer. You suffered enough last night. The bags under your eyes could testify.
How are you sure I'm seeing someone?
You lifted your brows, as if the answer was obvious.
Alright, fine. There might be someone.
From that response alone, you could already hear the tenderness emanating from under the helmet, cellophane leaning back against the table.
Can't say how long I've known them for. It feels like forever. They're incredibly hardworking, very open, judging from our interactions. And they make me look forward to every day after patrols. Helping them with deliveries is great and all, but sometimes I just stop by to say hi. Just to see how they're doing and hope that they're taking care of themselves. I wish I could get to know them more beyond just Sero work, but...
He trailed off. You looked back to him, and he was still. It was near impossible to read what he was thinking behind that helmet. But you swore you picked up a hint of doubt in that voice.
It's really cheesy, I know. But I want to know who they are as a person. What kind of music they listen to. What types of food they prefer. What kind of flowers they're into.
Cellophane laughed to himself, awkwardly scratching at his arm. Shouldn't you know that by now? You mumbled to yourself, moving to clean up the bowls and utensils. The thought of that bouquet still burns in your mind, and you shook your head.
What was that?
It's nothing, don't worry. Cellophane approached you as you were washing the dishes.
Hey, is everything okay? You seem... off.
You sighed before plastering a smile on your face. Just... didn't get much sleep last night. An hour passed without further conversation regarding relationships and messed up sleep schedules, only the gentle hum of the kitchen filling the otherwise awkward silence. But nevertheless, you could feel the silent concern radiating from the hero. Every time you looked over to his direction, you caught his helmet whipping away from you to focus on something else. You focused on completing the dessert, spreading the filling over the rolled out dough before rolling it again into a tight cylinder. You let cellophane cut it into pieces, some more equal than others, and transfer them to a pan. The moment you popped the pan into the oven, you heard a peculiar noise. Cellophane took out his phone, vibrating with the Powerpuff Girls theme as the ringtone. You would have laughed if the hero didn't excuse himself to pick up the call, answering with a low voice and exiting the kitchen. You picked at the flour on your apron as you waited for his return, searching your brain for any topic to ease the tension wafting through the room. Cellophane returned not long after, his phone in hand and his powdered apron draped over his arm.
I'm so sorry. I really hate to do this, but something just came up and I have to meet up with someone.
He sounded genuinely upset, his head hanging low. Somehow, you weren't surprised, but it still caused an ache in your chest. Your mind immediately came up with an assumption, despite your better judgment. A rendezvous with the florist, probably. Someone who was hardworking, open, a person Cellophane visits and worries about, a person that was his top priority, a person who deserved that stupidly huge bouquet, a person who might know who he was under the helmet, under the hero persona, under the cheesy jokes and remarks, and understands his flaws and mistakes and still loves him anyway.
Hey,
You looked at him, the thoughts still swirling violently in your head.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. You lied. You knew he knew you lied. The stinging sensation in your eyes knew you lied. I got it from here. I'll just give you the rolls the next time I see you. Even though the rolls only needed 15 to 20 minutes to bake, you no longer had that patience. You wanted to be alone, before your quirk turned this already warm kitchen into a malfunctioning sauna. Now go. Don't want to keep this person waiting. You mustered up a cheerful tone as you ushered him out of the kitchen.
Are you sure? I mean, I could...
Cellophane. He stopped at the firmness of your voice. Go. I'll be okay. It took him time, but he eventually nodded. You waved him off, turning away once you heard the bell chime and the door click shut. The weight dropped, and you finally let your quirk loose, steam leaving your body in a burst of hot waves. You couldn't help but laugh, a bitter one at that. It had been a measly 2 days since the heartache began, but anxiety, insecurities, and overall pining stretched it to the point where it felt like weeks. So much for celebrating Cellophane's promotion. Maybe you'll be promoted to clueless baker who really thought they had a chance with a hero. Pathetic. How delusional could you be, thinking a beloved hero like Cellophane would settle for someone like you, a baker who decorated a distorted reality in their head, who hid their insecurities behind cookies and muffins, who, at the end of the day, wallowed in their own pettiness and pity instead of being honest with the man. A baker who fogged the windows with the heat of their own repressed emotions. A baker who was unaware of the hesitation locking Cellophane in place. Behind the safety of his helmet, the window of the bakery, and the night beginning to settle on the city, he watched as you ambled back to the kitchen. Hero work had sharpened his senses, and he would be an idiot to miss the downcasted expression on your face the entire time he was there. However, he couldn't bring himself to press on the matter. After all, he was just a hero assisting local shops, just being the friendly neighborhood Cellophane, making deliveries out of the goodness of his heart. Nothing but professional work here. But God, did he wish he knew you beyond that. He wanted to take that helmet off and meet you face to face, to not be bound by his own insecurities and business before pleasure. It was because of you that he found pleasure in business. You were enough reason for him to push through even the toughest days in the agency, no matter how much of a stickler Edshot could be. It was all worth it if he got to see you when the day was over. He sighed in disappointment. If only Denki didn't call him, pleading for his help to stop Mineta from whatever hell he was letting loose, he would still be with you, making sure you were smiling and cracking jokes like you always were whenever he visited. Frustration grew the more he thought about his former classmate, intent on pummeling the grape to the ground for interrupting his evening. Pulling himself to the air, he promised to make it up to you next time. He just hoped you weren't too upset for his sudden leave.